"Don't you dare pretend you didn't know what you were doing," my mom screamed into the phone. Her voice so loud I had to hold it away from my ear. "We're family, you can't just abandon us. Because your feelings got hurt." I sat there in my home office, staring at the April rain hitting the windows of my Burlington townhouse, feeling a strange mix of numbness and rage. Everything I thought I knew about my family had just crumbled before my eyes, all because of a simple text message my brother Kevin had accidentally sent to our family group chat instead of the secret one he shared with our parents. "My name is Jordan Wright. I'm 35 years old, and until yesterday I thought I was just being a good daughter by helping my parents with their retirement expenses. I'd built a successful marketing consulting business from scratch after college. And when it really took off 5 years ago, I started sending my parents extra money each month. They'd always struggled financially, and I wanted to make sure they could enjoy their retirement without worrying about basic expenses. What I didn't know was how they really saw me." The family ATM just sent another $3. My brother had texted, followed by my dad's response, "LMAO, keep that gravy train running. She's too stupid to realize we're using her." Then my mother just bought those golf clubs. Your father wanted Jordan would flip if she knew her money was going to those instead of medic. The screenshots kept coming. Years of conversations about how to manipulate me, how to play on my sympathies, how to extract more money. I couldn't breathe as I scrolled through message after message. Kevin quickly tried to delete them, but it was too late. I'd seen everything. 3 years of them laughing at my generosity, planning expensive vacations while telling me they couldn't afford their medications, upgrading their cars while claiming their heating bill was overwhelming their budget. For the last day, my phone had been blowing up with texts and calls from my family. My dad swore they were just joking around. My mom said I was taking things out of context. Kevin claimed he was just going along with it to stay on our parents' good side, but their own words had exposed the ugly truth. The rain intensified outside, matching the storm raging inside me. I'd been financing their comfortable retirement for years, thinking I was helping them survive. Meanwhile, they'd been living it up, laughing at how easily they could manipulate their stupid, successful daughter. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. A sharp knock interrupted my thoughts. I crossed to the door, still clutching my phone, and looked through the peephole. Kevin stood on my porch, soaking wet, his expression pleading. I felt my jaw tighten. I wasn't ready for this conversation, but maybe it was time to hear what he had to say. After all, I had some things to say too. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "What do you want?" Kevin looked miserable, rain dripping from his hair. "Jordan, please, can I come in? I can explain everything." "Explain what? How? You've all been laughing at me for years." I held up my phone, the screen still showing one of his texts. "Just told Jordan dad needs dental surgery, Sin. It's not what it looks like." Kevin pleaded, his voice cracking. "Mom and dad, they started it, and I just went along with it." "So you were just following orders, like some kind of financial Nazi?" The words came out harsher than I'd intended, but I couldn't stop myself. "I've been sending $3 every month, Kevin. That's $36 a year for 5 years. Do you know what that adds up to?" Kevin looked down. "I know, it's a lot. $180 Kevin, and that doesn't include the extra for dad's supposed medical expenses or mom's broken furnace last winter." I felt sick saying the words, remembering how I'd skipped a vacation to send them an extra $5 for a furnace that apparently never needed replacing. "Look, they took it too far, I know, but they're getting older, and they're 65, not 95. Dad's still golfing every weekend with his fancy new clubs that I paid for while thinking he needed medication." I was shouting now, not caring if the neighbors heard. "Please, Jordan, they're freaking out. Dad's worried about his heart medication." I laughed bitterly. "The medication that doesn't exist, or the real medicine he actually needs that I've been paying for while you all blow the money on luxury items." Kevin's face crumpled. "I messed up, I know that, but they really do need your help now. All those extras, they've gotten used to the lifestyle. They can't afford their mortgage without you. Their mortgage on the lakeside condo they bought last year, while telling me they were struggling to pay rent on their modest apartment." I felt a strange calm settling over me. "I think you should leave. Jordan, please." Number I've been Jordan, please, for too long. Now I'm just Jordan, and Jordan is done. After Kevin left, I sank into my couch, my entire body trembling. The screenshots from their group chat played on repeat in my mind. In one, my father had written, "Just told Jordan the roof is leaking. Let's see how much we can squeeze out of her this time." My mother had replied, She's such a sucker for helping family, I almost feel bad almost then, Kevin. Maybe we should start a betting pool on how quickly she sends the money. I'd been nothing but an ATM. To them, a resource to be drained, a joke. I pulled out my laptop and logged into my banking portal. Every month for the past 5 years there it was $3. Zero transferred to my parents' joint account, plus all the emergencies another $40. Zero over the years. Dental work that never happened, car repairs for problems that didn't exist, medical bills for treatments they never received. And what had I sacrificed? I delayed buying my own home for 2 years to help them with their supposed mortgage troubles. I'd worked 60-hour weeks to afford both my life and theirs. I'd skipped vacations, bought secondhand furniture, and cut corners on my own life to make sure they were comfortable. For what? So they could laugh at me, so they could buy golf clubs and take cruises. While I worried if they were eating properly, I opened another tab and logged into the investment account I'd set up for them 3 years ago. My secret plan to surprise them with a supplemental retirement fund when they turned 70. I'd been contributing $1.00 monthly. The balance showed just over $42. Zero. My finger hovered over the close account button. Number not yet. I needed a clear head for this. I called my best friend Megan, who was also my attorney. They did what she practically screamed when I explained the situation. I know, I said, my voice hollow. I've been an idiot. No, Jordan, you've been kinda the ones who should be ashamed. Her voice softened. What do you want to do? I don't know. I admitted part of me wants to just cut them off completely. Another part wants to confront them and hear them try to explain themselves. Before you do anything, we need to review what you've set up for them legally. Are they on any of your accounts, insurance policies, the retirement supplement? You mentioned. I felt a chill. I hadn't even thought about all the ways we were financially entangled. Beyond the monthly transfers in the investment account, I'd added them to my premium health insurance policy as dependents 2 years ago. My father's heart medication, which I now question the existence of, was covered under my plan. They were also beneficiaries on my life insurance policy. I need to untangle all of this. I realized aloud, one step at a time. Megan counseled. First, gather all the documentation of what you've given them, bank statements, texts asking for money, everything. Second, make a list of all financial connections you need to sever. Third, decide if you want to communicate with them about why you're doing this. As I hung up, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Your father is very upset. His blood pressure is through the roof because of your behavior. We need to talk now. Something inside me hardened. The manipulation was still happening. Even now, they still thought I would fold, that I would come running the moment they mentioned a health concern. Not anymore. I opened my laptop again and began taking screenshots of every monthly transfer. Then I started a document titled Family Financial Support 5 Years and began listing every supposed emergency. Every sacrifice I'd made. By the time I finished, the document was 12 pages long. And the truth was inescapable. I wasn't just hurt, I was done. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. My path forward was suddenly crystal clear. Before doubt could creep in, I called into work, telling my assistant I needed a personal day. This would require my full attention. Jordan Wright speaking, I answered when my phone rang 20 minutes later. Miss Wright, this is Samuel from Vermont Community Bank. I'm returning your call about closing an investment account. Yes, thank you for getting back to me so quickly. I took a deep breath. I need to close the supplemental retirement account I set up for Robert and Patricia Wright. I see. May I ask if there's a problem with the account? No problem with the account, I said, just a problem with the intended recipients. After confirming my identity and authority over the account, Samuel walked me through the process. Since I was the sole controller of the account, it had been intended as a gift. I could close it without my parents' knowledge or consent. The $2,680 would be transferred back to my primary account within 3 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with today, Miss Wright? Actually, yes. I'd like to cancel all recurring transfers to the joint account belonging to Robert and Patricia Wright. Those are currently set at $3.00 monthly. Correct. My voice didn't waver. I'd like that stopped immediately. Step 1 complete. Next, I called my health insurance provider. This one was trickier. Mid-year changes to dependents required a qualifying life event, and discovering your parents have been scamming you wasn't on their list. But after explaining my situation to a sympathetic representative named Miguel, he found a solution. Since they have their own residence and you no longer provide more than 50% of their financial Support we can process this as a change in dependent status. He explained they'll receive notification that they've been removed from your policy effective at the end of the month, which gives them 30 days to find alternative coverage that's perfect. I said thank you for understanding family situations can be complicated, Miguel said kindly. Ben, there myself stepped to complete the life insurance policy was the easiest change. A simple online form removed my parents as beneficiaries and replaced them with a local children's charity by noon. I'd systematically dismantled every financial connection to my family, except one, my brother Kevin's student loan, which I'd been paying for the past 3 years. He still had 2 years of payments left at $580 monthly. That one gave me pause. Kevin had participated in the deception, but he'd also seemed genuinely remorseful. Had he been pressured by our parents, or was he just sorry? He got caught. My phone pinged with a text from Kevin. Mom and Dad are freaking out. Dad says his prescription refill was denied at the pharmacy. What did you do? That answered that question. Not a word of apology, understanding, just more pressure to restore the flow of money. I replied, their consequences are not my problem anymore. My phone immediately rang. Kevin, I sent it to voicemail. Instead, I opened my email and composed a formal letter to my parents attaching the 12-page document I'd created the night before. I titled it simply Financial Support Provided 2018 to 200-23. The email read, Robert and Patricia, attached is a comprehensive accounting of the financial support I have provided over the past 5 years, totaling to $121,800 from my health insurance policy effective May 31st, and the retirement account has been closed. Your duplicity has been documented with screenshots of your own messages revealing how you have systematically manipulated and deceived me while mocking my generosity. Do not contact me again unless it is to repay what you have taken under false pretenses. Jordan Wright. I read it over twice, attached the document, and hit send. Step 3 complete. Then I blocked their numbers on my phone, removed them from my social media, and sat back in my chair exhausted, but relieved for the first time in years. My money was truly my own. I managed 3 days of blessed silence before they found a way around my blocks. The doorbell rang at 8:30 p.m. while I was reviewing client proposals. Through the peephole, I saw my parents and Kevin standing on my porch, their faces a mixture of anger and panic. I didn't open the door. Instead, I called Megan. They're at my house, I whispered, as if they might hear me through the walls. Do not let them in, she said firmly. If they don't leave, call the police for trespassing. That feels extreme. Trust me, Jordan. Once they're inside, it'll be much harder to get them out physically and emotionally. The doorbell rang again, followed by pounding. Jordan, my father shouted, we know you're in there. You can't just cut us off without talking to us. I sent a text to Kevin. I have nothing to say. Please leave or I'll call the police. Through the peephole, I watched Kevin check his phone, show it to my parents, and then have what appeared to be a heated discussion. My mother seemed to be crying while my father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. Eventually they left, but not before my father shouted, you're going to regret this, Jordan. We're family. You can't just abandon us. The irony of him using the word abandon wasn't lost on me. They had abandoned any pretense of loving me years ago, seeing me only as a resource to exploit. The next morning, the email started. My mother wrote a lengthy guilt trip about my father's health declining without his medication. My father sent a term message demanding I stole this childish behavior. Immediately, Kevin pleaded that our parents couldn't afford their mortgage payment without my help. I forwarded each one to Megan without responding to them. 3 days later, I received a certified letter from my parents. Inside was a handwritten note from my mother. Jordan, we don't understand why you're punishing us like this. Yes, we made some jokes in poor taste, but that's what families do. Your father's heart medication is for $150 per month without insurance. Our mortgage is due next week, and we can't cover it without your help. We might lose our condo. Is that what you want for your elderly parents to be homeless? Please stop this cruelty and talk to us. I nearly laughed at the elderly comment. They were both 65 and in good health. My father's golf game had never been better, according to the country club photos Kevin had accidentally included in one of those fateful screenshots. I called the pharmacy where my father filled his prescriptions, pretending to be my mother. I'm calling about my husband Robert Wright's heart medication. What's the cost without insurance? Let me check, the pharmacist said after a moment. It's $42 for a 30-day supply, Mrs. Wright, not for $150. Another lie that evening. Kevin showed up at my office as I was leaving. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, clothes rumpled. Jordan, please, he said, stepping in front of me. They're falling apart. Dad's talking about bankruptcy. That's not my problem, I replied, trying to step around him. How can you be so cold? There are parents, are they? Because real parents don't exploit their children. Real parents don't laugh behind their kids' backs about how stupid and gullible they are. They made mistakes. But no, I cut him off. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. What they did was calculated and cruel. For years, Kevin, years, the condo is going into foreclosure. They can't make the payments without you. I felt a momentary pang of guilt, but then remembered a screenshot just convinced Jordan. We're struggling with rent. Meanwhile, we're closing on the Lake condo next week. Cheers. They shouldn't have bought a place they couldn't afford, I said flatly. What about Dad's medication? The prescription that costs $42, not for $150. He can get a job at Walmart if he needs to cover that. Kevin's eyes widened. How did you? I did my research. No more lies, Kevin. I walked past him to my car. Tell them to look into government assistance programs. That's what they're there for. Jordan, he called after me. They're talking about moving in with me. I can't handle that. I turned back. That sounds like a you problem, Kevin. Welcome to consequences. 2 weeks after cutting my family off, I was sitting in a therapy session I'd finally scheduled for myself. Dr. Bennett, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, listened as I recounted the whole sordid story. Every day I swing between feeling strong and feeling horrible, I admitted. Like yesterday, I found out from a mutual friend that my parents had to cancel their country club membership. I actually felt guilty about it for hours. That's normal, Dr. Bennett said. You're grieving the family you thought you had. That includes grieving the role you played as their supporter. But they didn't deserve my support. They were using me. Both things can be true at once. They didn't deserve your support, and you can still feel loss about no longer providing it. I pondered that while Dr. Bennett continued. The role of family provider clearly became part of your identity. Now you're redefining who you are without that role. I hadn't thought about it that way, but she was right. For 5 years, I tied my worth to being the successful daughter who could support her parents. Who was I now? As I was leaving my session, I received an unexpected call from my Uncle Pete, my father's brother, who lived across the country in Oregon. We weren't close, but I answered out of curiosity. Jordan, it's your Uncle Pete. I just got a strange call from your father asking if he and your mother could come live with us for a while. He said you'd cut them off financially, and they were about to lose their home. Is that true? I sighed. It's complicated, Uncle Pete. I figured your dad has always had a talent for selective storytelling. His tone was dry. Want to tell me your side? So I did, explaining everything from the screenshots to the lies about medical expenses. When I finished, there was a long silence. I'm not surprised, he finally said. Your father tried to pull similar stunts with me years ago. It's why we're not close. I refused to fund his lifestyle. You knew. I felt a wave of betrayal all over again. Why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? They had you convinced they were struggling, and you were their hero. Sometimes people have to discover the truth themselves. He was right. I wouldn't have believed him for what it's worth. He added, I told your father I wouldn't take them, and I suggested they downsize and live within their means. He hung up on me after we disconnected. I felt strangely validated. I wasn't crazy for cutting them off. I wasn't a horrible daughter. I was just the latest target of their manipulation, and I'd finally wised up that evening. I received a text from Kevin from a new number. Mom and Dad are moving into my spare room next week. They're selling the condo. Dad's furious about it. I can't believe this is happening. I didn't respond. 3 days later, another text. The condo is on the market. Dad's car got repossessed yesterday. This is getting really bad. I almost texted back, almost asked if they needed help with moving expenses. But then I remembered a particular screenshot where Kevin had written, Jordan just asked if Dad was doing okay after his doctor's appointment for the heart issue that doesn't exist. They'd made their choices. Now they were living with the consequences. Week 3 brought an email from a name I didn't recognize. The subject line, message from your parents. Apparently they'd enlisted a family friend to reach out since I'd blocked them everywhere. The message detailed how they'd been forced to sell most of their furniture, how my father's health was deteriorating from the stress, and how they'd had to apply for food stamps, something my proud father considered humiliating. The email concluded, they just want a chance to talk to you, to explain And apologize, I considered it for all of 5 seconds before hitting delete. Their idea of an apology would be whatever they thought might turn the money faucet back on. I was done being manipulated, done being their ATM for the first time in years. My money was going toward my future, not their pretend emergency. The guilt was fading, replaced by something unexpected: freedom. 6 months after I'd cut off all contact, I arrived home from a business trip to find my parents sitting on my porch steps. My father had lost weight, and my mother's carefully maintained highlights had grown out, revealing gray roots. They were both wearing clothes I didn't recognize, cheaper looking than their usual attire. My instinct was to turn around and drive away, but Dr. Bennett and I had discussed this possibility in therapy. I was stronger now. I could face them without being manipulated. I parked in the driveway and approached slowly, my heart pounding. What are you doing here, Jordan?" My mother's voice cracked. "Please, we just want to talk. We've learned our lesson," my father added. "These past months have been hell." I unlocked my door. "You have 5 minutes inside." They perched awkwardly on my couch while I remained standing, arms crossed. "We're sorry," my mother began. "We never should have taken advantage of your generosity." My father nodded. "We've lost everything. The condo, the car, our savings. We had to move in with Kevin, and his place is so small. Your mother has to sleep on a pull-out couch. The country club revoked our membership." My mother added, "All our friends there, they don't call anymore. My medication costs have been terrible without your insurance." My father continued, "Medicare doesn't cover everything." I listened to them list everything they'd lost, waiting for an actual apology. It never came. There was no "we're sorry we hurt you" or "we were wrong to mock you." Just a catalog of their hardships and implied blame that I had caused them. "Is that it?" I asked when they finally fell silent. "We want to make things right." My mother said, "We've really suffered, Jordan. We've learned our lesson." "What lesson would that be?" They exchanged glances. "That we shouldn't have taken you for granted," my father finally said. Translation: "They should have been more careful about getting caught." "No," I said softly. "You haven't learned anything." "What do you mean?" my mother asked, her voice rising slightly. "We came all this way to apologize." "No, you came all this way to tell me how much you've suffered without my money. Not once have you acknowledged how your betrayal made me feel." "We said we're sorry," my father protested, "for getting caught. Maybe not for what you did." I took a deep breath in. "The past 6 months I've thought a lot about what a healthy family looks like. It's not this. It's not treating your child like an ATM and mocking her behind her back." My mother's face hardened. "So you're just going to keep punishing us over a few jokes?" "This isn't punishment. This is me protecting myself from people who've shown they don't have my best interests at heart." "We your parents," my father said, as if that explained everything. "And I was your daughter, not your personal bank." I moved toward the door, opening it. "I wish you well. I really do. I hope you find a way to live comfortably within your means. But I can't be part of your lives anymore." "You can't mean that," my mother whispered, tears forming. "We need you. That's the problem. You don't need me. You need what I can provide. There's a difference." My father stood, anger replacing his earlier contrition. "So that's it. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me, Dad, besides take and take and take?" He had no answer as they walked out the door. My mother turned back. "You'll regret this. Jordan, family is all you have in the end." I shook my head. "No, Mom. Family is supposed to be the people who love you unconditionally. I've built that family with my friends. What you offered was just a transaction." I closed the door and leaned against it, listening to their footsteps retreat down the path. I expected to feel guilt or grief. Instead, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The ATM was permanently closed, and for the first time in my adult life I was truly free.